Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo family swordsmith refuses to be cut in half. Chapter 61. Kamo home. Kamo Gen, the master of cursed tool who had just returned to the family, received this bad news. Gojo Naru forged the third Zanpakuto. Furthermore, this Zanpakuto seems to be more powerful than Kiyomizu. Kamo's real hand was holding the cane and his face was blue. Looking at the descendants of the family who couldn't even see the shadow of red blood exercises, Kamo was really filled with resentment. Will the Kamo family really be removed from the big three sorcerer families in the future? A traditional family of jujutsu masters relies on the cursed tool blacksmith as the cornerstone, which is not a formal method in the first place. Now, his status as the master of cursed tool is being challenged by the Gojo family. Kamo Gen walked to the shadow of the corridor, raised his right hand slightly, and a figure appeared behind him. The figure floats in a trance, seemingly out of tune with the entire space. When a plan is started, it must be nipped in the bud. The figure nodded slightly and then disappeared without a trace. After making the final decision, Kamo breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he finds a suitable opportunity, he believes that Gojo Ming, who has no magical power, will definitely be ill-prepared. Shoko, are you going to Gojo's house today? Ieri Shoko, who was suddenly stopped by his father, looked puzzled as to why his father had talked about the Gojo family so many times in the past 2 days. No, we don't have an appointment, right? Although Shoko is also relatively precocious, at her age she is not yet old enough to think about the relationship between men and women. Go hang out with Gojo Naru and Gojo Satoru these 2 days. You are both about the same age, so you should have some things in common. Ieri Inamitsu felt as if he was promoting his own daughter, and felt a sense of guilt in his heart. However, when I think of Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes, I think of one of them having an incredible talent as a jujutsu master, and the other having an incredible talent as a blacksmith. Regardless of which 6 eyes Shoko is closely related to, it doesn't seem to be a bad thing for the Ieri family. Shoko will always get married in the future. Maybe he can create some sparks by letting Shoko have more contact with the 2 divine sons of the Gojo family. Shoko is so beautiful and talented. There is no doubt that she is the best choice for a daughter-in-law for the big family. It would be better to let Shoko contact and communicate on her own than to have a marriage between families in the future, right? Ieri Inamitsu could only comfort himself in this way. After all, Shoko is also his caring little cotton-padded jacket, and his old father actually wants to personally push Shoko into the tiger's mouth of Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming. Thinking of this, Ieri Daoguang felt uncomfortable in his heart. However, for the sake of the family and for the Ieri family to develop better in the jujutsu world in the future, he can only try his best to establish a good relationship with the 2 future 6 eyes sons of the Gojo family. Gojo home. Gojo Shangyan looked at the cherry blossoms scattered outside the window, his face full of shock. He just touched one of the cherry blossom petals lightly, and his finger was cut directly by the petal. What's happening here? Although he does not have the strength of a first-level jujutsu master like Gojo Shunichi, he can be considered a regular jujutsu master and possesses the techniques. Just now, even if I activated the technique, it didn't stop the sharpness of the cherry blossom petals. Is this the third Zanpakuto forged by Gojo Naru? What if every petal was so sharp? So, could the sea of cherry blossoms that completely covered the Gojo family wipe out all the ordinary people inside the Gojo family mansion in an instant? Gojo Ming's forging was successful. This terrifying technique is completely beyond the imagination of ordinary jujutsu masters. Even a special grade cursed spirit might not be able to unleash such a wide range of killing skills, right? Looking at the sea of cherry blossoms surrounding Gojo's house, this word came to Gojo Shangyan's mind. Field. Isn't this entire area surrounded by the sea of cherry blossoms a unique area? People who enter this field, whether they are jujutsu masters or ordinary people, will not just let this field slaughter them. A jujutsu master may be able to withstand 1 or 2 cherry blossoms, but can he withstand thousands or even hundreds of millions of cherry blossoms? For the first time, Gojo Shangyan truly realized the power of the Zanpakuto. In the past, neither Sota Shirayuki's techniques nor Kiyomi's techniques were as powerful as Senbon Sakura's. Am I really wrong? Close black lens bracket. If this Zanpakuto is given to Master Gojo Satoru, will the six-eyes godson of the Gojo family become more powerful, right? Close black lens bracket. Could it be that Gojo Ming is really not Master Gojo Satoru's curse, but Master Gojo Satoru's greatest help? Close black lens bracket. Gojo Shangyan grabbed the wood on the windowsill, veins burst out on his right hand, and blood continued to ooze from the freshly cut wound. He fell into deep doubts about himself. Now, 6-year-old Gojo Naru is able to forge 3 powerful Zanpakuto. What about the future? In the long time to come, how many such mysterious Zanpakuto can be forged from the hands of Gojo Naru, the pseudo-six-eyes son of God? At least, until Gojo Ming's Zanpakuto forging technology is cracked, the Gojo family should maintain strong competitiveness in the entire Jujutsu world. Is it really right for me to exclude Gojo Ming? Perhaps, it's time to turn the ship around. Gojo Shangyan's face was uncertain, and cherry blossom petals surrounded him, forming a strong contrast with his ferocious face. The main room of the Gojo family. The old man looked at the senbon-sakura petals scattered around, with a hint of relief on his face. Is this the Zanpakuto that Mingwei Satoru made? They are indeed brothers, and such a powerful technique was handed over to Satoru without any hesitation. Close black lens bracket. Ming, if you think it's unfair for you to be so secretive, the entire family will let you take whatever you want. Close black lens bracket. You are the leader of the entire Gojo family in the future, and you decide the future course of the Gojo family. Close black lens bracket. The old man took a sip of tea. This cursed tool called Zanpakuto has unknowingly attracted the attention of the entire Jujutsu world. At the same time, it is slowly changing the landscape of the Jujutsu world. After all, this can threaten the existence of the special cursed spirit. Looking at the senbon-sakura scattered outside the window, the old man felt a lot of emotion in his heart. Gojo Satoru has not yet grown to his final form, but Gojo Ming has indeed made his debut in the entire Jujutsu world. For the first time, he was extremely grateful that he insisted on making the decision to let Gojo Ming survive when Gojo Ming was born. If he had really wavered back then, the Gojo family might have lost such a flame that changed the world of Jujutsu. Gojo Satoru, Gojo Ming. Woo, please grow up quickly. Close black lens bracket. Ming, is the name I gave you really not a mistake? You really made a name for yourself in the whole world. Close black lens bracket. Senbon Sakura, this is the Zanpakuto that Ming prepared for me. Gojo Satoru felt the news coming from each blade, and the six-eyes sky was filled with shock. He knows that he is extremely talented and possesses 6 eyes, and he will become the strongest Jujutsu master in the future. He also knew that his younger brother was extremely talented and would become the strongest cursed tool master in the future. However, from the bottom of his heart, Gojo Satoru still has such confidence that he will be the strongest if he has the power of magic and masters unlimited spells. But this time, holding Senbon Sakura and using Senbon Sakura to release Hajime, he had doubts about his own power for the first time. 6 eyes and unlimited spells are indeed powerful. However, there is no doubt about the power of this Zanpakuto. Is Gojo Ming, who can forge a Zanpakuto, really weaker than himself? Gojo Satoru no longer has the confidence he had before. If compared to Sota Shirayuki's technique before, he was still confident that he could compete. Now looking at Senbon Sakura's technique, he really felt that even with 6 eyes, he might not be able to fight against so many Senbon Sakura. What's more, this is just Senbon Sakura's Hakake. According to what Aming said, the Zanpakuto not only has the Hakake state, but also has a form called swastika. There is no doubt that the Senbon Sakura after the swastika will be more powerful than the original state. He couldn't imagine that Senbon Sakura was already so powerful after the first release of the swastika. How terrifying would the Senbon Sakura be after the swastika release? Gojo Satoru raised his eyes and looked at Gojo Naru. Seeing the joy and relief in his brother's eyes, the unfamiliarity in his heart suddenly melted away. I am still too awkward. What does this guy Zenin have to be jealous of? I, Gojo Satoru, am Gojo Naru's biological brother. Close black lens bracket. The corners of Gojo Satoru's mouth raised slightly, and then he waved his right hand lightly. At this moment, the Senbon Sakura petals covering the entire Gojo family residence began to dance with his right hand, and at the same time, they quickly rushed towards the forge house. In just a few seconds, all the Senbon petals gathered in the forge and merged into Gojo Satoru's Zanpakuto. The Gojo family members looked around blankly, feeling lost. The wonderful scene of winter cherry blossoms just now is deeply engraved in the hearts of every Gojo family member. This kind of shock that distorts the laws of nature is unforgettable for everyone. The Jujutsu masters of the Gojo family all looked in the direction of the forging house. They all knew about the other six-eyes godson of the Gojo family. What he did had once again subverted the entire family's views. Even the many members of the Gemini Curse faction who were determined were shaken at this moment. No one can remain calm after feeling surrounded by thousands of cherry blossom petals. Master Wu, Master Ming. At this moment, for the first time in the hearts of many Gojo family members, these two names were equated. Seeing Gojo Satoru controlling Senbon Sakura like an arm and a finger, Gojo Naru, who was silently observing from the side, also felt a lot of emotion in his heart. He is indeed the most talented Jujutsu master in the entire Jujutsu Kaisen world. The control of Zanpakuto is also far superior to that of Gojo Shunichi, who is already a first-level Jujutsu master. As soon as you get in touch, you can complete the initial solution. Just after contact, he was able to control Senbon Sakura's injury-free circle so skillfully. If he hadn't known that Senbon Sakura should belong to Kuchiki Byakuya in the Shinigami world, then he would really have doubted whether this Senbon Sakura was prepared for Gojo Satoru. This person is so in tune with each other. Gojo Satoru plus Senbon Sakura, this human being who was originally the only one in the world will probably become even more powerful and greasy in the future, right? Thinking of this, the corners of Gojo Ming's mouth raised slightly. It seems that to get rid of the greasiness of enlightenment, we must start from an early age. With me and Sheer, we should be able to complete the transformation of Satoru. After all, Satoru at this time should not be able to resist Sheer, the tyrant of heaven and earth, nor can he resist me with Sota Shirayuki. The moment Gojo Ming was thinking about how to transform Gojo Satoru, his whole body suddenly stiffened. If Gojo Satoru didn't have a Zanpakuto before, he might not be able to resist him, but now Gojo Satoru who has Senbon Sakura might be able to. Judging from the current situation, as long as he does not take back his Zanpakuto, Gojo Satoru, who possesses 6 eyes plus unlimited techniques plus Zanpakuto Senbon Sakura, is basically considered the strongest in the Jujutsu world, right? Although, Gojo Satoru was only 6 years old at this time. But I can't stand it anymore. At this time, the 6-year-old Gojo Satoru already possesses the most powerful Zanpakuto. I'm not old enough, so I have to use plugins to make up for it. Gojo Ming was shocked to find that he had created a monster that was far beyond the level of a Jujutsu master. Although, as the owner of Senbon Sakura, I can release Gojo Satoru's borrowed sword status at any time. However, in order to obtain the corresponding reward from Satoru, there is no way Gojo Ming can take back Senbon Sakura before Gojo Satoru completes the swastika. Even in the future, he will not take back Senbon Sakura, he will let Senbon Sakura protect Gojo Satoru all the time. He must prevent Gojo Satoru from ending up like a clown. Gojo Satoru is Gojo Satoru, the most powerful Jujutsu master in the world. He will remain invincible. Ryomen Sukuna, why are you so sorry for not bringing out Sukuna's full strength? What kind of battle is fun? Things like character collapse should not happen in this world. Gojo Satoru will always be the strongest, probably. Gojo Naru looked at Gojo Satoru with more and more determination. As for Gojo Satoru, being stared at by Gojo Ming like this, he felt uneasy in his heart. He could see an extremely complex flavor in Gojo Ming's eyes. He even felt the anticipation in Gojo Ming's eyes. At this moment, Gojo Satoru felt that Gojo Ming was not like his younger brother, but like a parent who wanted to see him grow up as quickly as possible. However, we can't let Satoru continue to be so arrogant. His personality was originally quite out of the box, but now with Senbon Sakura's blessing, wouldn't he go further and further down the road of being a show-off in the future? Close black lens bracket. I finally managed to win Zenon over. My original intention was to let Wu see what it means that there is heaven outside the world and there are people outside the world. Close black lens bracket. Now that Senbon Sakura is here, it seems more difficult to ask Satoru to be humble. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming touched his chin and turned to look at Zenin with his blue eyes. At the same time, he took another look at himself in the mirror. A thoughtful look appeared on his young face. I have to put Jinji's Zanpakuto on the agenda, and I should also build myself a Zanpakuto stronger than Senbon Sakura. After all, Soda Shirayuki was still a little weaker than Senbon Sakura before she had the swastika. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming kept rubbing his chin, his movements looked like an adult who was thinking. Also being stared at by Gojo's dull eyes, Zenin also felt a sense of penetration just like Gojo Satoru. He subconsciously touched the scar at the corner of his mouth and wanted to speak, but he remained silent. At this time, Gojo Ming was obviously thinking about something. It was better to wait until he came to his senses before asking again. In this way, Gojo Satoru, Gojo Shunichi and Zenin were silently looking at Gojo Ming, who was deep in thought, and the entire forging room fell into a strange silence. During this period of time, I have been completely obsessed with forging Zanpakuto and neglected the practice of Zanpakuto. Close black lens bracket. Although Uncle Shun also gave back some wasted experience when he was performing the assessment and promotion tasks. But, after all, he is a master of swordsmanship, so he is still not good at fighting for nothing. According to the current situation, Zenin is the person with the strongest ability to fight for free around him. Moreover, as a carrier of heavenly restriction, his body will be most consistent with his own. Close black lens bracket. In the future, after the forging of Shear's Zanpakuto is put on the agenda, we will also have to strengthen our training in white fighting. If you continue to forge like this, your body won't be able to bear it anymore, and you can clearly feel your body's current resistance to forging. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming subconsciously punched his waist and frowned slightly. Forging 3 Zanpakuto in such a short period of time really cost him a lot of energy. Next, if you want to forge Zenin's Zanpakuto, you have to rest for at least a while before restarting the furnace. Isn't it a waste of time to study hard with Zenin during this period? Increase your physical strength a little more. At the same time, let Shear help him find another cursed tool trait. At this moment, the appearance of 2 Zanpakuto appeared in Gojo Ming's mind. One belongs to Zenin, and the other is prepared by Gojo Ming for himself. After informing themselves of their physical condition, Gojo Satoru and Zenin showed concern on their faces. Originally, they were worried about whether Gojo Ming's 6-year-old body could withstand such high-intensity forging. However, they didn't say much after seeing Gojo Ming in good condition. Zenin only thought that Gojo Ming was strengthened by heavenly restriction, so his body was far older than 6 years old. Gojo Satoru, on the other hand, simply believes that his younger brother is gifted. Now that they heard that Gojo Ming was in trouble with his health, the two finally realized that Gojo Ming was only a 6-year-old child. Ming, how are you going to recover? I'm going to apply for some Kampo medicine from the head of the family now to replenish your body. Gojo Satoru's face was full of concern. As soon as he finished speaking, he was ready to go directly to the head of the family. Seeing this scene, Gojo Ming quickly stopped Gojo Satoru. His current state is not just a physical drain, but a huge drain on his system and body. However, it is not such that he has to take medicine to replenish his health at the age of 6. No, I just need to exercise a lot recently and it will be fine. However, you may have to wait a little longer. The opening time of your Zanpakuto will have to be postponed. Gojo Ming's attitude surprised Zenin. He didn't expect Gojo Ming to take his Zanpakuto so seriously. Originally, only Gojo Ming could forge this kind of cursed tool, and Gojo Ming could totally find a reason to excuse himself. Zenin never thought that Gojo Ming would be so honest and take himself so seriously. Zenin, who has been isolated and ignored in his family, realizes for the first time what it feels like to be valued. The scene where Gojo Ming walked up to him at the party came to his mind. Zenin, I think you are very good. Make friends. The 6 Eyes boy in front of him ignored Zenin's genius Jujutsu master Zenin Shinsuke and chose to make friends with him. Zenin twitched the corner of his mouth, and a rare softness appeared in his eyes. It's okay, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not like the eldest son of Gojo Satoru, who needs a Zanpakuto to protect myself so urgently. My body is the most powerful weapon. The Zanpakuto is just the icing on the cake, and it won't make any difference if it's delayed. Zenin is also a rare person who is considerate and considerate. He also felt that it was a bit inhumane to force Gojo, a 6-year-old child, to forge a Zanpakuto for himself with a hammer. However, Gojo Ming's next words made Zenin feel that his concern was completely unnecessary. Sheer, then, in the next time, let me and you learn physical skills, right? You teach me well. I also think that your body is the most powerful weapon, and I don't want to just know the fighting method of swordsmanship. Gojo Ming to Chongdang met. Since Zenin didn't urge him to forge the Zanpakuto, he would squeeze Zenin in turn. When Zenin heard this, his face suddenly turned black. You don't have the energy to forge your Zanpakuto, but you actually have the energy to learn taijutsu from yourself. At this moment, Zenin even doubted whether Gojo Ming was fishing in troubled waters. However, seeing Gojo Ming's serious look, the tyrant of heaven and earth finally nodded. After all, they are all carriers of heavenly restriction. Teaching Gojo Ming to control his body as early as possible should also be beneficial to the subsequent forging, right? Zenin could only comfort himself in this way. Oh, that's right, Satoru, while I'm learning, you should also learn with sheer, and temporarily put your Zanpakuto and unlimited techniques aside. Gojo Ming suddenly remembered his cheap brother, and quickly opened his mouth to pull Gojo Satoru into the car. Hey, Ming, I don't want to learn any physical skills. Gojo Satoru felt a little conflicted in his heart. He was the six-eyes divine son of the Gojo family. He possessed unlimited spells. There was no need to learn such a rough fighting method, right? Moreover, doesn't he still have a powerful Senbon Sakura? Under the protection of Senbon Sakura, no one can get close to him, right? However, it is a pity that Gojo Ming's will at this time does not allow Gojo Satoru to refuse. In Gojo Ming's view, things like taijutsu, white fighting are also essential skills for jujutsu masters. Even Black Flash has to be punched out with his fists, right? The future Gojo Satoru can be regarded as a master in vain. In many cases, Gojo Satoru does not rely on unlimited techniques to fight. After all, for Gojo Satoru, the unlimited technique is more of a secret and ultimate move. Could it be that Gojo Satoru is also planning to use his ultimate move to eliminate Zaza? And then get slapped in the face? Obviously, in the future battles of Gojo Satoru, fighting for nothing is an indispensable part. Therefore, now that there is an opportunity, Gojo Satoru should master things like taijutsu earlier. This is another kind of oil removal transformation for Gojo Satoru. Satoru, I refuse. You must learn taijutsu with sheer with me. Gojo Naru's words completely dispelled Gojo Satoru's lazy thoughts. Now that I had just obtained Senbon Sakura from my brother, I couldn't refuse Gojo Naru's request. Hey, I know. Taijutsu, right, I can learn it. Gojo Satoru raised his head and glanced at Zenin Sheer, and shook his head vaguely. Thinking that in the next period of time, he would have to study with Zenin Sheer, this annoying guy, he felt very unhappy in his heart. However, there was no way Gojo Satoru could evade Zenin's eyes that had been strengthened by heavenly restriction. Facing the reluctant Gojo Satoru, Zenin was not used to the six-eyes godchild at all. After all, he was the man who always wanted to kick the six-eyes god's ass. Hey, young master Gojo Ming. Our young master Gojo Satoru doesn't seem to want to learn taijutsu. In this case, I'm not very willing to teach him. Anyway, he doesn't have heavenly restriction, and he can't keep up with our bodies. I'll teach you one-on-one. It also avoids having a burden that will slow down our progress. Zenin's casual and disdainful tone immediately made Gojo Satoru furious. Sure enough, there was nothing wrong with how I felt before. The two of them simply dislike each other, and this has nothing to do with Gojo Ming. He is not jealous because of Zenin's relationship with Gojo Ming. He just naturally feels that he cannot deal with Zenin. Even Zenin and Gojo Satoru themselves couldn't understand this inexplicable feeling of contradiction. Naturally, the two of them didn't know that in another world line, they were mortal enemies. Hearing Zenin Sheer say such words, Gojo Ming quickly glared at Gojo Satoru, asking him to calm down. At the same time, he turned to look at Zenin Sheer and comforted. Sure, even though Satoru doesn't have heavenly restriction. But with 6 eyes, he will definitely be able to keep up with our pace. After speaking, he added another sentence. I will definitely forge a unique Zanpakuto for you in the future. It will be different from Soda Shirayuki, Kiyomizu and Senbon Sakura. It will definitely be special. How about it? In order for Zenin to teach Gojo Satoru well, Gojo Ming had to reveal some information about the Zanpakuto to Zenin in advance. After all, the only bargaining chip he can offer now is his Zanpakuto. That's it. Zenin followed the example of Gojo Ming before, rubbing his chin and touching the wound at the corner of his mouth. His eyes wandered back and forth between Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naruto, and finally, his lazy eyes met Gojo Naruto's. Okay, since Master Gojo Naru is so interested in my Zanpakuto, I will reluctantly take this young Master Gojo Satoru with me. Hearing Zenin's agreement, Gojo Ming also smiled. When Gojo Satoru heard that he was called the tail end of the crane, he wanted to refute, but a look from Gojo Satoru made him dumbfounded. Although he didn't understand why Gojo Ming wanted him to learn taijutsu so much, he knew that his younger brother would not do anything bad for him. Forget it, he endured it. He must learn Zenin Shear's physical skills as soon as possible, so that this annoying guy Zenin Shear will completely admire him. The 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus. The most evil jujutsu master of the Kamo family, the stain of the big three sorcerer families. Kamo Shanlin's work. During the Meiji period in Japan, there was a woman with a special constitution who was very close to the cursed spirit and became pregnant with a child. The sudden pregnancy caused many relatives and people around her to criticize her beyond the norm, that is, with malicious emotions. In fact, it is not correct to say that the pregnancy was for no reason, because ordinary people cannot see the cursed spirit. It was precisely because of the words, "This child shouldn't have been born," and "How could she be pregnant?" that they had the effect of a spell similar to that of a spellcaster that the cursed spirit hybrid child she was pregnant with was stillborn. Because people around her blamed the child and the woman finally fled into a temple holding the child's body. From this moment on, her fate changed, because this temple was opened by a jujutsu master from the Kamo family, the big three sorcerer families in the jujutsu world, also known as Kamo Shanlin. Later, Kamo Shanlin was very interested in this woman's physique to be able to conceive a cursed spirit hybrid fetus, so he conducted experiments on this woman, making her pregnant 9 times and having 9 abortions. The 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus is the product of this woman's subsequent pregnancy and abortion. However, no one can tell whether the source of the curse comes from the extremely strong curse Kamo Shanlin added when studying the fetus, or from the mother's hatred. Until this experiment was discovered, the cursed fetus 9-phase diagram began to be sealed by the high school as a special grade cursed object. Many people have never seen the appearance of the cursed object. They have only heard of this special cursed object, and they only know that this special cursed object is related to the Kamo family. As the elder of the Kamo family, Kamo Gen has actually seen the 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus. Or rather than saying that he has seen it, it is better to say that he has owned it. At this moment, Kamo is really in the room. A petri dish filled with liquid is placed quietly on the table. A mini flesh-like object is floating in this petri dish. This is exactly part of the 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus. The weakest one among the 9-phase diagram, burning phase. The 9 cursed objects that make up the 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus respectively represent the 9 cursed spirit stillborn fetuses. And these 9 phases represent the 9 stages of human death. Swelling phase, bad phase, blood smear, pussy phase, green phase, chewing phase, scattered phase, bone phase, and burning phase. Among them, the swelling phase, bad phase and blood coating can be transformed into a powerful special grade cursed spirit after passing through the human body. The remaining 6 phases, after undergoing physical training, will all have the strength of level 1 cursed spirit. Among them, among the 9-phase diagram, the burning phase at the end is the weakest, barely touching the threshold of the first level cursed spirit. However, the ability to burn images is also the most special existence. That is, even though he is a first-level cursed spirit, after being incarnated, the breath of cursed spirit cannot be sensed by jujutsu masters at all. It is completely possible to survive in society as an ordinary human being. But the limitation is that the body after being reincarnated can only last for 1 week. After 1 week, the body will turn into ashes and return to the cursed object form. I didn't expect that one of the 9 child pictures that I had exchanged for a lucky day would be wasted on a 6-year-old child. Kamo's expression was really unhappy, but that was all he could do. After all, the Gojo family is heavily guarded, and even a strange jujutsu master would find it difficult to get close, let alone the cursed spirit. The 2 Six Eyes gods have been carrying high bounties for several years, and they are not alive and kicking now. If Kamo doesn't spend a lot of money, he really knows that he will never be able to achieve the goal he wants. The mysterious man who has been secretly following Kamo-gen took away the petri dish on the table, and what happened next has nothing to do with Kamo-gen. An assassination operation against Gojo Ming is about to begin. This time, the protagonist on the stage is not a human being or a cursed spirit. Rather, it is a special grade cursed object, a combination of human beings and cursed spirit, Xiao Shang. Katetsu, why do you feel that your power has become much stronger recently? At the Gojo Kyokuryu gym, many Kyokuryu disciples asked Gojo Katetsu about his physical condition. Gojo Katetsu also has an inexplicable feeling about the changes in his body. I have indeed improved a lot in terms of strength and agility recently. Why is this? Gojo Katetsu had a headache. He always felt as if his memory was missing a lot. However, Gojo is not a troubled person, and he thinks this is a good thing. Not only has his body suddenly become stronger, but his spell power has also changed, and he has even begun to master the spells. Perhaps, I can also become a powerful first-level jujutsu master like Master Shunyi. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, Gojo Katetsu felt an inexplicable sense of confidence. He believed that as long as he persisted like this, he would become stronger. Perhaps, when he becomes a first-level jujutsu master, Master Gojo Ming will also create an exclusive Zanpakuto for him. At that time, Gojo Katetsu will also become a well-known figure in the Gojo family and become the mainstay of the Gojo family. With fantasies about the future, Gojo Katetsu continued to use his strength, the power of the spell in his body, the strength of his body, the bamboo sword in his hand. This is the basis for Gojo Katetsu's confidence. 3 days later. Ming, Wu, keep up the good work, you two. You can't be beaten down by sheer. In the open space outside the forge house, Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming were dodging Zenin's attack in embarrassment. On the side, a girl with a bun is sitting on the ground, holding a big bag of snacks in her arms, eating and cheering for Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming. Gojo Shunichi stood aside silently, looking at the 2 Six Eyes gods who were beaten up by the Zenin family, his eyes filled with distress. Where is learning physical skills here? Is this completely a unilateral beating by Zenin? This young master of the Zenin family probably doesn't know how to teach, right? Master Ming and Master Wu were only 6 years old. If they continued to be beaten like this, he was worried that their bodies would not be able to bear it. The next second, he looked down at Ieri Shoko who was eating snacks, his expression changed again. I didn't expect this little girl to have mastered the reversal technique at this age. It's really terrible. Close black lens bracket. It seems that his age is not much different from that of Master Wu and Master Ming. Close black lens bracket. Master Ming made friends with her at the party before. Could it be that he also discovered Ieri Shoko's terrifying talent? Close black lens bracket. Gojo Shunichi thought silently. In the previous Jujutsu Master family gathering, there were only 3 people that Gojo Ming paid the most attention to. Now, Zenin Shear has shown him that his strength far exceeds his own. He is an unknown and truly strong man. Another girl, Ieri Shoko, is a talented girl who is already able to master the inversion technique at the age of 6. What about the third one? Gojo suddenly thought of the young man who had been sitting with Ieri Shoko eating snacks. He seemed to be a distant relative of the Gojo family, with whom he had almost no contact before. Why did that Okatsu traveler fall in the fancy of Master Gojo? Looking at Ieri Shoko and Zenin who were different from ordinary people in front of him, Gojo didn't think that Okatsu Yugito would be an ordinary person. Master Ming, you are really terrifying. Close black lens bracket. Perhaps your most powerful thing is not your Zanpakuto forging talent, but your ability to see people. Ah, it hurts. Gojo's scream suddenly woke Gojo out of his reverie. At this moment, Gojo Naru's arm was broken and he ran to Ieri Shoko with a grin on his face. Quickly, Shoko, help me use the inversion technique to heal. Jir is really too lighthearted. He's just bullying the small. On the other side, I heard Gojo Ming complaining. Zenin, who was abusing Gojo Satoru, had a look of disdain on his face, and his eyes were still lazy, as if the previous taijutsu battle could not wake him up. Hey, young Master Gojo, you decided on this learning method yourself. Now that you're throwing the blame on my head, do you really think I'm deaf? Zenin curled his lips, feeling a little unhappy inside, and then vented his dissatisfaction directly on Gojo Satoru in front of him. Well, it feels really good to beat up Gojo's six-eyes son. Close black lens bracket. Yes, such a real and fierce fighting method is exactly the learning method proposed by Gojo Ming. Originally, he just wanted to follow Zenin's training step by step. However, unexpectedly, Ieri Shoko suddenly visited Gojo's house 3 days ago. It is said that Lord Ieri Anemitsu had a temporary mission and was worried about the safety of his little daughter Ieri Shoko, so he temporarily placed Ieri Shoko at Gojo's house. The head of the Gojo family would naturally not refuse Ieri Inamitsu's request, so the task of entertaining Ieri Shoko, the genius of the reversal technique, fell to Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru. Originally, Gojo Ming felt that this temporary task would too much affect his and Wu Bai's learning progress. However, the person who comes to mind is Ieri Shoko. Isn't this a coincidence? Isn't this a coincidence? This was a powerful nanny for him and Wu. It seems that he and Satoru don't have to worry about being injured during the learning process. In this way, Gojo made a desperate request to Zenin not to hold back, and in a real sense, he began to face the taijutsu attack from the tyrant. In the past 3 days, fractures, vomiting blood, and internal organ disorders have become the norm for Gojo Ming. Gojo Satoru, on the other hand, is hopeless. He doesn't want to accept such a beating. He is just a fish caught in the fire of Gojo Ming. Although Ieri Shoko is here, their bodies are still in good condition, but their spirits are extremely exhausted. After all, the feeling of having a bone broken and then healed is not an experience worth remembering. Watching Ieri Shoko use the inversion technique to heal his body, the pain in Gojo's arms slowly subsided. This reversal technique is really powerful, but I don't know who is more powerful compared to the return path in the world of death. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Naru subconsciously compared the Kado and the reversal technique in his mind. In terms of flexibility of use, the reversal technique seems to be more flexible. After all, Gojo Satoru, who masters the inversion technique in the future, can use the inversion technique to repair his brain while fighting with Ryomen Sukuna in a high-intensity battle. There seems to be no example of anyone in the Shinigami world using Kado healing while fighting. However, Wei Dao should be more advantageous when it comes to healing others. If he could use Kado now, he might be able to compete with Shoko to see whose healing ability is the most powerful. However, it is a pity that my current 4 abilities of killing fists and moving ghosts are still stuck at the level of fighting for nothing. If you want to use Kido, you must break through white fighting, and then master Shunpo before you can access Kido. The road is long and difficult. Gojo Ming is not a person who is too ambitious. Although the reply looks very good, after all, there is still a long way to go. Now there are ready-made wet nurses here, so if you don't use them, it will be in vain. The host is receiving the teachings of Master Bai Da, Kendo Experience plus 10. The host is receiving the teachings of Master Bai Da, Kendo Experience plus 10. Looking at his system prompts, Gojo Ming felt the thrill of growth. With Zenin's guidance and training, my speed of improvement in white fighting will definitely not be inferior to that of Kendo. As long as you persist like this, you will be able to break through in vain, master Shunpo, learn the Kido, and become a qualified Tetrathlon Shinigami just around the corner. But just when Gojo Ming was about to return to the venue to fight Zenin, he saw another prompt coming from the system. During the Battle of the Sword Borrower, the corresponding experience will be converted, and the experience will be +1 in vain. During the Battle of the Sword Borrower, the corresponding experience will be converted, and the experience will be +1 in vain. At this moment, he realized that Gojo Satoru was already Senbon Sakura's sword borrower. Gojo Satoru's combat experience will also have a certain percentage of feedback. He and Gojo Satoru are both studying in vain, which means that Gojo Satoru's learning experience is also equivalent to his own learning experience. Gojo Ming felt like he was stuck in a system bug. When he asked Gojo Satoru to learn how to do it for free, he never thought of using this method to get his experience for free. His idea at the time was simply to hope that Gojo Satoru could master some taijutsu skills and become stronger in taijutsu in the future. I never thought about it, but I planted willows and willows unintentionally. Gojo Satoru, who learned to do it for free with him, turned out to be his baby with the experience of doing it for free. Not bad. A weird smile appeared on Gojo Ming's face, and his eyes turned to Gojo Shunny, who looked concerned. Should I bring Uncle Shun in to learn how to fight for free, so that I can gain the experience of two experienced babies for free? Close black lens bracket. Just do it. After a while, the people Zenin taught by Da changed from Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru to Ming, Satoru, and Shunichi. Master Ming, I shouldn't need to learn physical skills anymore. Gojo swallowed his saliva and subconsciously evaded. After all, the tragic situation of Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru just now was seen by him. Although he is an adult, if he only uses taijutsu, he probably won't be Zenin's one-stop enemy. It can be argued that Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru were beaten so badly because they were young and their bodies had not yet matured. However, if he was beaten so miserably, there would be no excuse for him. After all, he is also a first-level jujutsu master in the association, so he needs to be embarrassed, right? It's a pity that Gojo Shunny's face has no weight in front of Gojo Ming's experience. Gojo couldn't tolerate it. Gojo refused instantly. Uncle Shun, I am doing this for your own good. Although you are a master of swordsmanship, what should you do if you run out of weapons one day? Close black lens bracket. It's not like a kendo master can't use bare hands, right? Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming asked Gojo Shunny to learn in vain, not only to gain experience, but also because he thought of an ancient swordsman's path in the death cycle. Because Da Dao couldn't find weapons during the death-destroying journey, he couldn't exert his true strength. It wasn't until he met Maki in the later stage and borrowed the soul-release sword from Maki that he was able to truly demonstrate his swordsmanship. Gojo Ming doesn't want Gojo, who is currently surrendering to him, to fall into the state of Dao in an instant. Of course, Gojo's main purpose is to gain experience. Hey, are you still finished? Although there are many snacks to eat, Ieri Shoko's expression is getting worse and worse. After all, she is a guest of the Gojo family, and now she has to work here as a coolie for the Gojo family. It was okay to treat Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naruto before, but now, there is another Gojo Shunichi. The amount of mana required to heal adults and children is completely different. I am still just a child, how can I bear such heavy work pressure? Ieri Shoko's resistance finally brought the 3 days of useless learning to an end. Not only Gojo Ming, but even Zenin, who had been violating, breathed a sigh of relief. Beating people can be considered a strenuous job. Zenin beat him until the end, and even lost interest in beating the six-eyes son of Gojo family. After all, just like playing poker, the first time you do it you'll be excited. However, if you are asked to play poker every night, you will also feel bored. Even if it continues, you will still think about running away. After all, you can't pay public rations every day, right? If you continue to be squeezed dry like this, recognition will also die. At this moment, Zenin was in a period of fatigue regarding beating up the son of Six Eyes. After Gojo Ming's training, he also had to enter a period of rest. To be honest, he didn't care if this continued, but he was worried that Gojo Satoru and Gojo Shunichi on the side wouldn't be able to hold on. After all, Gojo Satoru was already slumped aside at this time, as if he was in an out-of-body state. Gojo Shunichi was beating his waist. The past 2 days had been a hellish test for him. However, it also allowed him to see the true strength of Zenin. The person in front of him was simply not something he could compete with. Even if he is currently a first-level jujutsu master. Let's go to Zenin's house later. Go to your home's library to see the cursed tool you selected earlier. Gojo Ming looked at the wasted experience bar that had increased to 46% with great pleasure, feeling very happy in his heart. It only took 3 days for the experience bar to increase by almost half. Zenin's ability to fight for nothing was indeed higher than Gojo's swordsmanship level. During these 3 hard days of teaching, Zenin tried his best. It's a donkey working hard, and you have to show the carrot in front of it, right? Taking advantage of this period of rest, I happened to go to Zenin's store to pick out some. By the way, see if there are other cursed tools. After all, the Zenin family's treasury was not like the Gojo family's, where most of it was squandered by him. This pristine virgin land is definitely the place Gojo Ming needs to explore the most. During the previous experiment, too much cursed tool was wasted. Now if we could do it all over again, with so many experiments, cursed tool would be able to forge at least 2 or 3 Zanpakuto, right? Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming shook his head. Now we can only find a wave from Zenin's house. If you have the chance, it would be great to go and explore the Kamo family's library. Close black lens bracket. Among the big 3 sorcerer families' jujutsu inventory, the cursed tool inventory should be the largest in the entire jujutsu world, right? Close black lens bracket. And I heard that the Kamo family has a great master of cursed tool, and the collection in the library may be more than the Gojo family and the Zenin family combined. Close black lens bracket. Although Gojo Ming has never dealt with Kamo's family, he has already begun to worry about other people's families' treasures. Zenin was drinking water and nodded while listening to Gojo Ming's words. The Zenin family is sweeping the couch to welcome you, waiting for you to come over. However, I hope you will focus on my Zanpakuto and not be too distracted by that decadent family. Zenin had no intention of speaking for the Zenin family at all. As for the tasks that the family had given him before, he had already put them aside. What will the Zenin family look like in the future? What does it have to do with him? Gojo Ming smiled, not caring at all, and stretched out his right hand in front of Shoko. Shoko, my little finger is broken, please. Then, he turned to look at Zenin. Oh, I wonder how you could get the cursed tool that Satoru needs so easily. It turns out that it has the tacit approval of the Zenin family's senior management. Shoko angrily helped Gojo Naru treat her fingers. When she saw that Gojo Naru was not paying attention to her at all and was only concentrating on chatting with Zenin, her treatment methods became rough. Oh, it hurts. Gojo Ming frowned subconsciously, but still did not take his eyes away from Zenin. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go. I don't think you need to communicate with those who are behind the times now. Zenin Shire still did not speak for the Zenin family. However, Gojo Ming didn't care at all. He was thinking that there would be many places where he needed to cooperate with the Zenin family in the future, and he wouldn't fall out now. What's more, the Zenin family is very sincere, isn't it? The cursed tool that was used to forge Senbon Sakura was not a vulgar object, at least it was at the level of a first-level cursed tool. This kind of cursed tool was taken out without blinking an eye. At least in Gojo Ming's opinion, this courage is worth understanding. Besides, I'm still coveting the things in other people's treasury. It's okay, I just want to visit Zenin's house. After all, I have been staying at Gojo's house, and I seem to be a little short-sighted. Feeling the pain in his fingers, Gojo Ming subconsciously tried to pull his fingers back while speaking. But Shoko, who was ignored, didn't give Gojo Ming a chance, and clamped his hands tightly on Gojo Ming's little finger. How can the patient escape if he hasn't been treated yet? After tugging twice but not being able to pull it out, Gojo Ming finally realized something was wrong and shifted his gaze from Zenin to Yeri Shoko. Seeing the girl's dissatisfied expression, Gojo Ming smiled playfully. With an adult state of mind, he could tell at a glance that Yeri Shoko felt unbalanced because of his lack of attention. This is not a good sign. Once a girl starts to care about a boy's attention to her, she will lose the initiative in getting along with each other in the future. Hey, Shoko, from now on, I'll build you a Zanpakuto too, right? What Gojo Ming suddenly said caught Yeri Shoko off guard and made her face turn red. She didn't expect Gojo Naru to say this at all. His hands that had been holding Gojo Ming loosened subconsciously out of dissatisfaction. At this moment, she realized that she was holding Gojo Ming's hand too intimately. On the side, Gojo Satoru, Gojo Shunichi and Zenin heard Gojo Ming say this and subconsciously looked at Gojo Ming and Yeri Shoko. Just now, Shoko's behavior of grabbing Gojo Naru's hand was seen by the 3 people. Oh, what did I just hear? Our young master Gojo Ming actually offered to help others forge Zanpakuto. Zenin curled his lips and said something lazy and strangely. Hey, Ming, so love will disappear, right? Will our brotherhood also disappear? Ming, brother's heart hurts so much. Gojo Satoru opened his blue eyes, constantly looking between Gojo Ming and Ieri Shoko, his eyes full of gossip. It was as if Gojo Ming's words just now gave Gojo Satoru blood, directly eliminating the fatigue of Gojo Satoru's previous beating from Zenin's taijutsu. Gojo Shunichi glanced at Gojo Ming and Ieri Shoko silently, thinking silently in his heart. Ieri's house, well, it's not bad. Close black lens bracket. Miss Ieri Shoko is a genius of reversal techniques, if she is combined with Master Gojo Narumi. Well, besides, Miss Shoko and Master Naru, the man is handsome and the woman is beautiful. Close black lens bracket. Feeling the atmosphere of gossip, Gojo Ming suddenly realized that what he just said was somewhat inappropriate. He was thinking of forging a Zanpakuto for Shoko, and he also thought that Shoko could be used as an experience pack to help him gain more experience for free. Now that the bug of the system has been found, how many lags can there be? Anyway, even if Zenin herds a sheep, it is herding, and if she herds a group of sheep, it is also herding, right? The four of them learned fighting from Zenin at the same time, so wouldn't he be able to use three people's fighting experience in vain? Although, Gojo Satoru and Gojo Shunichi have different feedbacks on their free play experience. Gojo Satoru has higher talent, more frequent feedback, and more feedback experience. However, no matter how small a mosquito is, it is still considered meat, right? If you don't accumulate steps, you won't be able to reach 1,000 miles. If you don't accumulate small streams, you won't be able to reach the rivers and seas. This is something that was learned in the 9-year compulsory education in the previous life. Therefore, for Gojo Ming, the more experience packages he recognizes, the better, and the sooner he borrows the sword, the better. It's a pity that such a simple idea of mine can be regarded as a kind of special care for Shoko in the eyes of others. After all, things like Zanpakuto are extremely rare in the entire Jujutsu world. Exclude the experimental product Gojo Shun Yisho Chingworm. Zenin's and Gojo Satoru's Zanpakuto were made at their own initiative, and Gojo Ming made them for them, in their own opinion. And now, Gojo Ming actually takes the initiative to build a Zanpakuto for Ieri Shoko. There is no magic here. Being looked at by the three people with such eyes, and looking at Shoko's delicate face, Gojo Ming realized the current situation no matter how slow his reaction was. Well, I want to say. Gojo Naru paused for a moment. He had indeed done something misleading. Would it hurt Shoko if he clarified it now? He has the mind of an adult, but Shoko is only a 6-year-old girl after all. I'm afraid that my young mind will be hurt by being clarified by myself in this way, right? Thinking of this, Gojo Ming shook his head helplessly. In the end, he did not clarify, but just complained. Shoko and I are friends. It's appropriate to forge a Zanpakuto for her. Besides, Wu and Sheer, even if you don't ask me, I will help you forge it, okay? Gojo Ming felt that the atmosphere was a bit awkward and made a casual remark. Gojo Satoru nodded upon hearing this. Indeed, as Gojo Ming's brother, he would definitely have a Zanpakuto. Zenin, on the other hand, curled his lips in disbelief. Oh, that's the same sentence. Since you are ready to help me forge a Zanpakuto, then my previous agreement will not be counted, right? Seeing Sheer's intention of having sex for free, Gojo Ming directly slapped a patch on his backhand. What's more, you are an adult. A man's words are hard to follow. You can't break what you promised me back then. Hearing Gojo Ming's reply, Zenin looked helpless. It was obvious that the young master of the Gojo family had already entangled him. However, Zenin doesn't really dislike Gojo Ming's character. Perhaps it is precisely because of Gojo's personality that he, who is indifferent, became Gojo's friend. Okay, I understand, but the next Zanpakuto must be forged by me, and Shoko has to be behind me. Zenin no longer dwells on the previous deal. Anyway, the Zanpakuto is Gojo Ming's own product, and he is not qualified to make demands. His only requirement is that others cannot jump in line. Of course, Jiru, even if I wanted to forge a Zanpakuto for Shoko, I wouldn't have the materials. Let's go to Zenin's house first to find out the situation. Maybe we can also find a cursed tool suitable for Shoko. Gojo Ming nodded to express his understanding and asked Shoko to become the sword borrower as soon as possible. In this case, he would have another experience pack. As for what kind of Zanpakuto to forge for Shoko, Gojo Ming already had a plan in mind. Ieri Shoko is originally good at healing reversal techniques, so she is relatively weak in combat. The Zanpakuto he prepared for Shoko can, on the one hand, strengthen Ieri Shoko's healing ability and make her a more powerful nanny. On the other hand, it can also strengthen Shoko's combat capabilities so that he can protect himself and fight back when he encounters a real crisis. This Zanpakuto is none other than the Zanpakuto of Unohana Retsu, the captain of the 4th Division of the Gotei 13th Division, Nakashizuku Sui. After the Zanpakuto is unlocked, Shizuku can help Shoko with his healing work. After the meat squid is released, its power cannot be underestimated. At least, in Gojo Ming's opinion, this is the Zanpakuto that is most suitable for Ieri Shoko. However, this special biological Zanpakuto is not that easy to forge. If he wants to present the cursed tool, he must find a suitable cursed tool as a material for forging. This is the hardest thing right now. After all, Gojo Ming, who has the system, can forge the Zanpakuto, but he cannot forge the corresponding cursed tool. Therefore, it will take some time for Shoko's Zanpakuto to be released. While thinking about the meat, Gojo felt a tickling sensation on his little finger. Looking down, Shoko was blushing and gently helping him with the treatment, and his previous dissatisfaction was completely gone. On the side, Gojo Satoru and Zenin both squinted their eyes and showed anti-smiles. Gojo Ming is really worried that if they are given another second, they will shout, "I got it! I got it!" Sure enough, no matter what world we are in, no matter what kind of person we are, we all like to listen to gossip and gossip. Master Ming, let me accompany you to Zenin's house. After all, your safety is. Seeing Gojo's worried look on his face, Gojo shook his head. I came to Gojo's house before, but there were no guards. We all belong to the 3 major families, and the Zenin family is unlikely to do anything detrimental to me. Having said this, Gojo Ming raised his head again and pursed his lips to Zenin and said. Besides, isn't there Sheer with me? With Sheer by my side, Uncle Shun, are you still afraid of someone who can hurt me? After hearing what Gojo Ming said, Gojo raised his head and glanced at the tall Zenin, and finally fell into silence. If Zenin was the attacker, he had no confidence that he could protect Gojo Ming. Fortunately, Zenin has a close relationship with Gojo Ming, and there is really no need for him to protect them anymore. As for Gojo Satoru, he studied for 3 days in vain and was drained of all his energy. He also didn't want to move at this time. As the son of Gojo's 6 Eyes God, he had no interest in the Zenin family. As for the selection of cursed tool, he had nothing to help Gojo Ming, so he just slumped aside and chose to play dead. Finally, Gojo Ming went back to take a short rest. After taking a shower and changing clothes, the two left the Gojo family's mansion and set off towards the Zenin family's mansion. Outside Gojo's house, Gojo Katetsu has been waiting in the shadows for a long time. At this time, his eyes were scarlet, and his entire face was much paler than before. He has been waiting on the outside for 3 days. I finally waited for this opportunity. This time, his mission target is Gojo Ming. He must follow Kamo's true will and kill Gojo Ming in advance. At this time, he is no longer the thought of Gojo Katetsu. Gojo Katetsu is just a body at this time. The one who controls Gojo Katetsu's body now is Kamo's real trump card, Yakiyaki. It has unparalleled hidden abilities and invisible assassination abilities. Just give him a chance and he can burn Gojo Ming to ashes. This time, Gojo Ming just followed an ordinary person out, and the first-level Jujutsu Master Gojo suddenly disappeared around him. This is his best chance. Although the burning phase is the weakest of the 9 phases of the curse fetus, once he completes the release of the close-range spell, he will burn everything. As soon as he left the back door, Gojo Naru, who was wearing a blue kimono, saw Gojo Katetsu suddenly appear. His 6 eyes did not see anything strange about Gojo Katetsu, but his intuition told him that something was not right with the Gojo Katetsu in front of him. Gojo Naru quietly observed Gojo Katetsu's approach. At the same time, He held Soda Shirayuki in his right hand, ready to untie it at any time. Facing Gojo Ming, Xiaoshang's eyes were full of heat, and he completely ignored the man beside Gojo Ming. Under this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he was confident that he could kill Gojo Ming completely. He is a burner and a born assassin. As he got closer and closer to Gojo Ming, the spell in Yakusei's body had begun to operate. According to his calculations, when he got closer to Gojo Ming, the spell would be released exactly. Ling Wu, Shu Baishui. Gojo hummed in a low voice and began to explain. Soda Shirayuki had already exposed the snow-white blade. Although Gojo Katetsu still looks normal, Gojo Ming is still not prepared to let it get close to him. However, at the moment when Gojo Ming began to take off Shirayuki's sleeves, the fire phase suddenly disappeared in front of Gojo Ming's eyes. The next second, he appeared behind Gojo Ming. This speed even surpassed Zenin's speed when he fought with him before. However, Gojo Ming's 6 eyes is not vegetarian either. He immediately noticed the position of the burning aspect. Zanpakuto Soda Shirayuki had already followed and would stab the burning aspect in the next second. Seeing this scene, the corners of Xiao Zhang's mouth slightly raised. All this was as he expected. Before coming here, he had already investigated Soda Shirayuki's abilities. Although the ice attribute will inhibit burning, it is not an ordinary flame. He is a bone fire that can burn everything. Soda Shirayuki can be his medium, allowing him to successfully ignite Gojo Ming. The mission is completed. Close black lens bracket. Flames ignited on the surface of the body, and the next second it would spread along Soda Shirayuki to Gojo's voice. However, this next second is extremely long, so long that the burning phase cannot wait at all. Because, at this moment, his physical head has been completely crushed. Zenin, who had been ignored for so long, was just a fist pump, and the fire phase had lost its vitality. You idiot, how dare you ignore me? Zenin took out the cigarette case from his pants pocket, took out a cigarette and threw it into his mouth. After groping around and discovering that he didn't bring a lighter, he simply squatted down and lit it with the flames on the burned corpse. As the green smoke rose, Zenin drooped his eyelids and said lazily, I remember this person is from your Gojo family, right? Zenin and Gojo are both carriers of heavenly restriction with 0 curse power. Heavenly restriction strengthens the body too thoroughly, so it is quite easy to sense the cursed spirit in Gojo Katetsu's body. Gojo Ming nodded, retracted his sleeve Shirayuki, and looked at Zenin smoking a cigarette comfortably, his face full of relief. You are worthy of being the future tyrant of heaven and earth. You can crush a level 1 cursed spirit with just 1 blow. I wonder when my body and physical skills will be as strong as yours. Gojo Ming squeezed the muscles on Zenin's body, and 6 eyes showed a trace of envy. My body is too small, I am only 6 years old, it is really not convenient for me to do it at any time. It would be great if I could have a body as big as Zenin. Heaven and Tyrant. Zenin blew out a smoke ring. This was the first time he heard this title. It sounds pretty good, but this title was given to me, right? Why do you feel like you are bragging and selling yourself? When you turn 18 and become an adult, you will be able to do the same. You won't want to take this title back later, right? Zenin glanced at Gojo Ming suspiciously. After all, Gojo Ming is young now, and when he grows up, he should be in his 30s. At that time, I might no longer be a match for Gojo Naru, who also has heavenly restriction. At that time, I was still called the Heaven and Tyrant. Wouldn't it be a bit unworthy of the name? Che, Sheer, is this a nice name? I don't need this thing. There are still 12 years until I reach adulthood. Isn't this too long? Gojo Ming shrugged and shook his sleeves Shirayuki. The cold air from Soda Shirayuki's body infected the body of the burning Shang. It had been dead for some time, but the flames of the burning sign showed no tendency to extinguish. Gojo Ming also guessed that the flames were related to the cursed spirit spell. It would not be a good thing for the Gojo family to let it burn like this. Therefore, Gojo Ming directly used Moon White to draw a circle under Gojo Katetsu's body, completely freezing Gojo Katetsu's body. With the emergence of the Soda Shirayuki Jutsu, Gojo Shunichi and Gojo Satoru felt that something had happened to Gojo Ming, no matter how exhausted they were from the physical training. He quickly dragged his tired body to the outskirts of the mansion. Ming, are you okay? Gojo Satoru showed concern, and Gojo came directly in front of the fireman. His whole person was full of shock. Master Ming, this person is Katetsu. Looking at the burned image with only half of his head left, Shunichi recognized Gojo Katetsu's identity very keenly. Looking at the shocked Gojo Shunichi and the concerned Gojo Satoru, Gojo Ming nodded. It is indeed Gojo Katetsu, but the one who just attacked me is not nonsense. He has already been tortured by the cursed object. So, Gojo Katetsu died the moment he was FK'd. Gojo Ming knows the relationship between Gojo Katetsu and Gojo Shunyi, and knows that he is Gojo Shunyi's beloved disciple. Now, Gojo was directly punched to death by Zenin. He had to explain the situation clearly, otherwise, he was worried that there would be a grudge between the two. Gojo fell into silence for a moment, looking at Gojo Katetsu's body burning with fire. He also realized that the cursed object that made Katetsu suffer was very special. He felt both thankful and sad in his heart. She was saddened that her beloved disciple would encounter such a situation, die of being tortured, and be manipulated into attacking Gojo Ming. Fortunately, Zenin was beside Gojo Ming, otherwise once the cursed spirit succeeded after being incarnated, he would really die for his family. Master Ming, leave this matter to me to investigate. I will definitely find out the identity of the cursed spirit who attacked you. For Katetsu. The sudden attack did not affect Gojo Ming's plan to visit Zenin's house. After all, he had already sent an application to visit Zenin's house through Zenin Shear, but he suddenly missed the appointment. There was no way he could justify it. Moreover, judging from the current situation, after the first assassination is over, there should not be a second killer who will assassinate the more vigilant himself without the sense of humor. It's unlikely that the mastermind behind the scenes had a second cursed object and at the same time raped a second person he knew from the Gojo family, right? This kind of thing can never happen again. This kind of cursed object, which cannot change the face of the body after receiving the body, is also a very special existence in terms of ability. Gojo Naru basically has no memory. In the original work, like Sukuna and the cursed objects that remain in Wan, they can still maintain the appearance of the original body after receiving the body. This cursed object is very special. I wonder if this cursed object can be recovered after being killed by Shearer. Close black lens bracket. This is considered a physical exorcism. It shouldn't have completely eliminated the cursed object, right? Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming quietly followed Shearer forward slowly. Along the way, he was also thinking about future plans. As of now, he already owns 3 Zanpakudos, Soda Shirayuki, Kiyomizu and Senbon Sakura. Among them, Senbon Sakura and Kiyomizu have already borrowed swords. The people who borrowed the swords are Gojo Satoru and Gojo Shunichi, and the only remaining Soda Shirayuki is currently regarded as his own special weapon. Both Senbon Sakura and Kiyomizu have completed their initial solutions in the hands of Gojo Satoru and Gojo Shunichi, and have initially demonstrated their respective powers. He has also successfully activated Fist among the 4 skills of Zon Fist and Zon Gui. According to his current plan, Bai Da's skill improvement speed will definitely not be too slow. In a month at most, he should be able to break through the vein fight and enter the walking, instant step learning with the help of Shinur and many experience packages. In this case, it is equivalent to mastering 2 death skills. With Soda Shirayuki and Zon and Fist, in the current timeline, my strength is at least equivalent to that of a first-level Jujutsu master. As long as he, Gojo Satoru and Zenin don't encounter Sukuna and Zenin, they should be considered invincible. It can be said that even the special cursed spirit is not a problem in the eyes of the 3 of them. However, Gojo Ming, who knew the future development, felt a sense of urgency in his heart. Although according to his current arrangements, Gojo Satoru, who possesses a Zanpakudo, should not end up being cut in half by Sukuna in the future. However, the 2 special-level cursed spirits, Sukuna and Kenzo, should not be underestimated. Especially Kensuo, who has been secretly arranging for so many years, must have laid enough backup plans. If he underestimated Kanso because he forged 3 Zanpakudo and mastered Zanken, then Gojo Ming could foresee that he would probably regret his current decision in the future. Therefore, he must accumulate all the power that can be accumulated now and unite all the people who can be united. Zenin, Shiuji, Ieri Shoko, Okatsu, 99 Yuki. He hopes to establish good relationships with these people in the future if possible. After all, until he traveled through time, he still didn't know the true strength of Kensuo. In the original work, the special level Jujutsu Masters 99 Yuki, the special level Cursed Spirit expansion phase, and Tianyuan did not stop the actions of Kensuo in the Xingxing Palace. For this special grade Cursed Spirit who is always smiling, Gojo Naru thinks that its hidden strength should be stronger than King of Curses Ryomen Sukuna. After all, judging from the world line of the original work, Ryomen Sukuna's path to the present can be considered to have been arranged by Kensuo. I still have to build myself an invincible Zanpakuto. At the same time, the Zanpakuto must be lent to enough people. However, most of the Jujutsu masters that I can remember are still little kids, or have not been born yet. Close black lens bracket. As for the currently surviving rotten creatures in the Jujutsu world, they are not yet qualified to be his sword borrowers. Close black lens bracket. Gojo Ming's 6 eyes was constantly processing information from the outside world, and within a moment, he felt tired. At this time, he probably realized why Gojo Satoru wore sunglasses for a long time in his youth. Why, after growing up, will I always wear an eye patch? When he originally read the original work, he thought that Gojo Satoru was a pretentious person just to look cool. Now, he also realizes that the 6 eyes processor is really not smart. Everything you see will be analyzed accordingly. Such massive analysis is still a bit heavy on the brain. After I go back, I will make a pair of sunglasses for Satoru and myself. Although I feel that this is very effective for mental exercise, it is not a problem to be exhausted all the time. Close black lens bracket. Gojo sighed and looked at Zenin beside him. With this tyrant of heaven and tyrant by his side, he shouldn't have to keep opening 6 eyes to observe his surroundings. Thinking like this, Gojo simply closed his eyes and silently followed Zenin at their pace. I wonder if I can find other cursed tools I want in Zenin's library. It would be great if there was a cursed tool that could control flames. If I can really forge that Zanpakuto and successfully wield the swastika, then I can basically cut off all the backhands set up by Kenzo, right? Close black lens bracket. However, I feel that I need at least a special grade cursed tool to be qualified to become the material for that Zanpakuto. Just like Soda Shirayuki and Hiranmaru. Close black lens bracket. If Yi Ning was a special grade cursed tool, maybe what he forged would not be Soda Shirayuki, but Hiranmaru, the strongest ice-type Zanpakuto in Soul Society. Close black lens bracket. With his eyes closed, Gojo Ming continued to analyze his experience in building during this period. The birth of every Zanpakuto in this world is related to the characteristics of the cursed tool integrated into it. Gojo Ming can predict that in the Shinigami world line, those famous Zanpakuto basically require the rare cursed tool as a material to be successfully forged. However, it is not so absolute. As long as it has the corresponding characteristics, even if the quality of the cursed tool material is lower, it is still possible to complete the birth of the Zanpakuto. If the Zenin family's Jiku does not have the cursed tool they need, then many Zanpakuto may not be able to be born in this world. Close black lens bracket. Zenin's house, Kamo's house, and Jujutsu High School's Jiku, this is a place that must be explored now. These 3 places are most likely to have special cursed tools. Kensuo, who has been working as an old silver coin for so many years, should have some cursed tool in stock. However, if possible now, it is best not to confront this guy. Close black lens bracket. If possible, Gojo Ming would like to kill Naohua now to avoid a series of things that will happen later. But, unfortunately, he also knew that this was just his delusion. Naohua's strength and layout ability are both top-notch. Although I am a time traveler and have cheats, but some big bosses, even if they cheat, it will still take a long time to fight. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.